Hi, everybody. This is the video for the week of February 27th, 2017. And thank you, as always, for your thoughtful comments on the forums this week. I see that this week's readings were quite emotionally challenging for many of us. And I think that this goes to show how even any mention of the Holocaust puts many people on guard. And, we carry so many experiences that we've had, stories that we've heard, and in some cases, trauma that's been transmitted through the generations. We carry these things into any discussion of the Holocaust, and that's understandable, and it's not something to be dismissed. And that is actually one of the reasons why I chose these particular readings for our unit on music and the Holocaust. There are plenty of sources available that have lots of stories about music performed in the camps, or that tell us about particular pieces or about particular composers. And each of those bits of knowledge are really important. But instead of asking you to read those sorts of accounts, and very often, obviously, those accounts are sort of horror stories. But rather than have us read those, I'd rather have us build upon the ways that I'd rather have us look at the frames of the Holocaust narrative. So rather than sort of building upon the ways that the Holocaust has been framed, I'd rather zoom out and take a step back and look at the frame itself, if that makes sense. Um, so that's what I think Gilbert does in these readings, and that's why I really like them and wanted to share them with you. When I first encountered Gilbert's work, I found that she expressed something that I'd kind of thought, but kind of struggled to put into words myself. I'll give you an example. The first time that I went to Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem, I was quite moved by the experience of being guided along a path through which you learn about the Holocaust, and you experience images and videos, and you see real artifacts from the war. And at the conclusion of the path, one is led outside into to see this beautiful view of Jerusalem. And the first time I experienced this, I was really touched by the narrative that was being constructed there. But on subsequent visits, I've probably been there 5 or 6 times. On subsequent visits, I came to a little bit resent being guided um, into this narrative, this experience of the Holocaust, and then right out into the state of Israel, right? The creation of the state of Israel is so obviously the message that's going on there. And of course, the two events are certainly related in some ways, but I felt that the narrative that this was constructing was a bit too simplistic. And I think even furthermore, I didn't like being manipulated into the way that this history was being constructed. My understanding of the state of Israel's right to exist is based on, I'm sure like you, countless hours of studying the topic. And I didn't really like the way that this really complex issue was being sort of just merged into this Holocaust narrative. But furthermore, I think that it made me think a lot more about the path that I was being walked through the museum. It made me ask questions about in what ways was my understanding of the Holocaust shaped because of the architecture of this building, the ways that the artifacts were placed within the physical space. To be 100% clear, I'm not at all discrediting the people who built Yad Vashem. I think it's an absolutely beautiful museum. I'm just trying to make note of the ways that commemoration and narrative are very closely linked to one another. So, Shirley Gilbert's point about thinking about the individual musical experiences of those who went through the Holocaust, rather than sort of merging these different stories together into a general theme of spiritual resistance, I think it's a really important point that she's trying to make. Um, and even more so, I think that this may be a better way to honor the memory of the people who were killed during the war. So that's sort of one takeaway from it, and I say that in response to several of the posts that were made on the forums. Okay, let's move on to something a little bit lighter now. This week we are going to discuss music and memory. Um, Adam Davis noted on the forums that Gilbert referenced Kay Kaufman Chalamet. She is an ethnomusicologist at Harvard, and this week we'll be reading a bit from Chalamet's book on Syrian Jewish music. The book is titled Let Jasmine Rain Down. I have it right here. The idea of memory is quite closely connected to our readings from last week, and that's why I've chosen to put these two topics back to back. Chalamet's book helps us to understand the multi-layered listening experience of pismonim, this music genre that you'll be reading about, and the ways that memories are encoded into the pieces themselves. The book comes with a CD, and I've given you one of the pieces on the CD to listen to. You'll find that piece, what's it called, Surya El, is mentioned in the readings, and you'll also find a transcription for it in this week's reading. So I recommend following along with the transcription as you listen to the piece. We only have the one reading this week. I think it'll be quite manageable for you. It's not so many pages, and there's a lot of the pages are transcriptions or quotations. She includes a lot of quotes in her writing, which I appreciate very much. I think it adds a lot. So I think that it'll be a quite manageable week for you with the reading, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on the topic. As always, please continue reading your sources for your lit review and taking notes on them. We have, my count is correct, I think 9 weeks until the Kala, so please make sure that you're on track. As you know, I'm happy to help with many aspects of this project, but if you haven't done the reading, I can't help you. There's just nothing I can do in that case. But let's not get into that position. I'm sure that you're all on top of it, and we'll get the reading done and have wonderful observations about them. But that's just a note to say, please stay on track with your lit review readings. Okay, that's it for now. As always, you can be in touch with any questions or concerns, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the forums. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful week.